there, welcome to FemmeSciComm's first vlog. I'll be vlogging weekly about research studies pertaining to basic science and reproductive medicine, specializing in women's health. So I know there are not a lot of media outlets out there that specifically focus on women's health, and I just wanted to shine a new light on it. I talk to my friends all the time about my science, about current research studies, and sex. And I just thought it would be a great avenue to talk about current research projects going on right now. And because of my generally curious disposition, this is FemmeSciComm. I found it necessary to fill the gap of knowledge between the general public and the scientific field. And I'll be the first one to tell you I don't know everything, but I want to try and translate a lot of what I do read to you guys so you can use it for your information and for any of the disorders that you may be having in your life. So my first post talks about a recent research study that was published in PLoS ONE. Maternal pre-pregnancy weight status modifies the influence of PUFAs and inflammatory biomarkers in breast milk on infant growth. The first author is Henry Nuss, senior author is Redman, and both are from Louisiana State University Health. So let's get into it. So this study aims to test the association of certain polyunsaturated fatty acids, hormones, and inflammatory factors from breast milk and blood to infant growth. Lactational programming is an emerging topic in reproductive health, and this study assesses all of these components in relation to infant growth, all in one study. In order to get measurements of these components, researchers take samples of blood and breast milk, conduct gas chromatography on these samples, which measures and determines the components, and the research then take this data and determine if there is an association with any of these components with one another. The association they are testing is correlation. For example, in figure 1a, they're testing if insulin amounts correlate to M3 PUFAs. Figure 1b tests leptin amounts with a specific N6 PUFA, EGA, and 1c tests leptin amounts with another N6 PUFA, DGLA. For all three of these tests, they find that each component positively correlates with the hormone. Now, there's a slight caveat for these figures. Hormone measurements are log transformed and PUFA measurements are in percentages. The authors don't give quite an explanation to the transformation of this data. Usually when they do log transformations, it's because of the raw data being not normally distributed. Nevertheless, they use the same data transformation for the rest of the correlation tests, so that's good that it's consistent. Moving on to figure 2, the researchers divide up their data into mothers who have a BMI of less than 25 versus mothers who have a BMI of more than 25. In these women, they find that their leptin negatively correlates with their N6 PUFAs, total and LA. Something to remember, these correlations are found only in serum measurements, so their blood, not in breast milk. Moving on to breast milk measurements, they combine all of their data together, which means factoring all the components together. Statistically, it's a step up from correlation. They test multiple factors using linear regression. In all women, they find that leptin, insulin, TNF-alpha, and IL-6 correlate to 3 out of 4 measurements of infant growth, which are infant weight, infant head circumference, and infant percent fat mass. Looking at this table, anything with a p-value of less than 0.1 is statistically significant, meaning the test holds for these components. Moving on to PUFAs, the researchers only test one group here, the group of infants born to women without being overweight or obese or having a BMI of less than 25. They find that all three types of PUFAs correlate with infant head circumference and infant percent fat mass, and only total N6 PUFAs correlate with infant weight. So what does this all mean? So this study adds to the growing evidence that humans may be predisposed to obesity in one way or another. This study specifically identifies if there is something in breast milk or in the mother that is correlated to this. In women who were not overweight or obese pre-pregnancy, if their levels of PUFAs were high, the infant usually had less growth. For all women, regardless of weight, high leptin, insulin, and IL-6 meant infants had less growth. So this study seems to imply that what mothers eat and consume is important for infant growth. However, one big thing to remember is that this does not test if mother's diet directly causes infant growth or not. That leads me to the caveats. Like I mentioned, this study does not test if mother's diet directly causes infant growth or not. Examples of studies that would test causation would include, not in a human model, providing these components one by one and with one another in a cell or mouse model, and performing comparable tests to those of infant growth that would resemble infant growth. Also, infant measurement is done 4 to 8 weeks post-birth. Is this time frame too early to judge infant growth, if it's on track or not? Do mothers and infants need to be followed for a longer amount of time? This is a great beginning short study. It would be interesting to see if any of these components have an even bigger effect on other aspects of the infant growth. So that's why you should be involved in scientific studies if you can. One topic that is gaining more and more attention is BMI, your body mass index. There's more evidence surfacing showing that it may not be the best measurement of healthiness for people. Lastly, with every research study, there are different ways to test results. The statistical analyses done in this paper are done on log transformed data, raw data, ratios, and other transformed results. Correlations and linear regressions were used here, and there are many assumptions these types of statistical tests make. Thank you for reading, listening, watching my assessment on this paper. Keep informed, stay interested, and keep doing great women's research. Bye! Thank you so much for watching my first video. If you're interested in this content, please subscribe to my page. You can also check out my website, FemmeSciComm.com, and you can also follow or like me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest at FemmeSciComm.